Yo, Internet, welcome to another episode of the John Gray Show. I'll be fair right off the bat. I was afraid that we wouldn't have gotten a look at the fight between Sanji and his father, Judge Vin Smoke. It's actually a pretty interesting way how like that these two fight, especially since that Judge actually lets it slip that, of course, Sanji actually was taught how to use a sword, except for, of course, we all know Sanji's like dichotomy upon fighting. He doesn't use his hands, he only throws kicks. Of course, I do believe that his father actually believes that that's actually disrespectful, but pretty much the more. However, the funny part about this whole thing, especially taking into Sanji's past, is because they do drop a lot of that. You know, starting off, Sanji's actually third of one of the quadruplets. So, of course, when they say that he's the third child, it's not necessarily like that he's the fourth of like he's third in these four kids. He's actually the third of these of the quadruplets because it's in his name. Of course, we have Ichijin, I believe is Nichijin, Sanji, and Yanji, or Nichiji, I forget, and Ichiji. I believe that's how their names are. But from that though, you understand it's like, oh wait, he's just this, and pretty much since he was younger, he was the only one to have compassion at a young age, and pretty much it seems to be is that he still has it, like after all these years, except for he does get along really well with his older sister Reiju. You know, he gets along with her because of course that's his sister, and you know she does, and of course she is the oldest, and she seems to be the mature, and even she seems to be the most mature, and also on top of that, she seems to. Or at least for some of the flashbacks, since that she was always with their father, it seems as though is that she's probably the one. She's probably his favorite because that's his daughter. Maybe like she's the oldest or something like that. But pretty much whatever it is, it seems as though is that she's actually grooming him, and of course, her and so many people are actually shocked to see Sanji's growth after all these years to actually be able to use haki. For one, and also on top of that, he doesn't need a battle suit to fight his father. Whereas that Sanji's family, every single one of them, whenever they fight, they all need a battle suit and they have an army behind them. Sanji doesn't need any of that, which is actually really funny, especially when he was fighting his father. And pretty much we all know that most of Sanji's attacks, or pretty much like his Diablo Jinbei. You know, that little devil kick he has, is actually pretty interesting how like that he has the polar opposite attack to his father's attack, which is like a crazy Garuda attack, which calls in from Vishnu. So pretty much he calls it ironic. So yeah, you know, his father is supposed to be this holy being and his son is supposed to be a devil. So you know, they're both clash. However, I think that Sanji actually is strong enough to actually fight his father, or at least he's strong enough to stand up toe to toe with him, because again, he didn't get demolished per se, except for when his father started using this electromagnetic shock stuff, which seems to harken back to the whole thing about the minks or whatever, with this whole electromagnetic shocking stuff like that. But the interesting thing about all this is that Judge calls Sanji weak, or at least like he did when he was little, and we do see why Sanji hates his father. And I'll get back to my point, with their fight. But the funny thing is though is that when Sanji was little and he wanted to feed rats and feed people and stuff like that, they called him weak, and they called him and they saw him like as a detestable brother or a detestable son and stuff like that, to which that his own brothers bullied him for it. And of course, when Sanji asked his father for it, he said that he doesn't want a good for nothing son who can't fight for himself. And of course, he locked his own son up for his weakness and wanted him to pretty much grow to be like his brothers and also his sister. Well, again, Reiju isn't all that bad. pretty much she seems to be private. She actually seems to be the only real family member of Sanji's that actually has some form of compassion, especially, well, if not for her brother, but for, of course, like his crew as well, as she did save Luffy's life. So, of course, but then from all of that though, it's like Sanji coming back. Sanji was also strong enough to take down Yonji and also fracture the side of his head to where that he had to go through this crazy surgery to get his face put back to how it was. And my whole point in that is that during their fight, Sanji's father called in a wall of army of men who are willing to pretty much like step in and take attacks for them, who will throw their lives away on a whim, even in a random sparring match. So that Judge can have the upper hand to pretty much win. And the funny part about that is that Sanji has enough strength, willpower, and everything else to just use his pure body. I mean, even their technology of trying to fly and everything, Sanji has that on his own. He can literally kick off the air and do his airwalk. So pretty much it's like looking at Sanji in relation to his family, he is not weak at all, unless Judge sort of like just sees compassion as a critical weakness, which is why he will never respect his son. He even said that at the end of this chapter, as Sanji let it slip, that he still doesn't want to use his hands. He doesn't use his hands for anything. He uses them for cooking and feeding people. And of course his father tried to sell him the pitch again, but instead of the pitch, he gave him the cold hard truth, as they both don't respect each other. Sanji doesn't respect his father for not treating him like a fucking parent, or at least like treating him like a son. And of course Judge disrespects Sanji by saying that I'm not giving any of my sons away to that deranged woman. Okay, you are just a liability to me. You are pretty much a means to an end. I will give you away, and you will do it. You can leave whenever you want, but I'm gonna strap these bombs up onto your wrists, and pretty much, like, listen, you can leave if you want to, but other than that, you know, like, you're gonna be leaving like you're gonna be cooking through with your feet. So pretty much with how this is looking, it seems as though that Sanji's gonna have to either, well, pretty much Sanji could have left whenever, but still, even with that though, it's like if Sanji turns down the wedding and Sanji moves on with everything, it seems as though that he's gonna have to fight Big Mom on his own. Or at the very least, he was already planning on doing it from Jump Street, of just saying, you know what, I'm gonna fight her by myself with nobody else's help, and I'm gonna get these keys, and I'm gonna make it perfectly clear that I'm not gonna be a part of this. So I guess in so many ways it's actually a good thing that what's name came, that Luffy and everybody else, that they came to help him. But it still seems though as that if they didn't come, Sanji would have just had to fight them on his own. He would have had to fight his own family and also the Big Mom pirates, so that he wouldn't have to deal with that. But luckily for him, he also kind of has some reinforcements in Jinbei too, possibly. So till then, that is what I got to say about that. I'll see you next time on the next John Graves Show. Tell me what you think about this down there in the comment section. I'll see you next time. I'm out.